法师，诸位居士菩萨，新春愉快，福慧平安。
Dear Dharma Masters and all the Bodhisattvas and friends, Amitofo, good morning and Happy New Year.
在今天新年的大年初一，我们要讲一个比较轻松的议题，但是在轻松之中呢，蕴藏着佛法的深意。
Since today is the first day of New Year and a day for celebration, we will start with a relatively lighter topic. But even though the topic is light, but it's actually embodied with profound Buddha Dharma.
这个主题呢，是佛陀是幸福者。
The topic for today is the Buddha is the blessed one.
我们都知道，释迦牟尼佛是在菩提树下成佛。当他成佛，也就是彻底的圆满觉悟的那一刻，就有了10个佛的名号。
As we all know, the Buddha attained his great enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. The very moment that he became enlightened, simultaneously, he also acquired the 10 names for Buddhas.
那这10个名号，所以其实知道吗？来说，第一个是如来。
So are you familiar with these 10 names? Let's go down the list. The first one is Thus Come One or Tathagata.
那第二呢是应供。
The second one is the one who's worthy of respect.
这个应供，我稍微说一下。这个如来的如，就是所谓的真如，或是如果这个如。那来是来来去去的来。这个如来，这个如是有真如的意思。真如是我们的心性最清净、宝贵的这个心性，称为是真如。我们现在的心呢，就被烦恼所染，所以就称为是世心。而这个世心呢，如果它是清净，就称为是真如。那佛是如来，那如来的意思是来去都不离真如，就是没有烦恼。
So let's briefly explain this name of Tathagata. Tathagata in Chinese character contains the 2 characters of Ru, which is the same as if or such, suchness. And the second character is Lai, which is part of come and go. So Ru means true suchness, which also means our true pure nature. This is very different than the mind that we have now, which is vexed and has a lot of afflictions. When we are vexed, this true suchness is turned into a conscious mind. So that is the first part of this name, true suchness, or thus come one. And the second character is come and go, means that the Buddha is able to come and go while still retaining this mind of true suchness.
应供是因为是成佛，所以应供这个应是应当的应，供是供养的供。所以应供的意思说，佛人他来去都不离这个清净的心真如，也就是他的心以及身语意也都是完全的清净。那这样的人是值得我们人天来供养，因为他是大福田。我们的供养可以得到大的福田。
As for the second name, worthy of respect or worthy of offering, the first word means worthy. And because Buddha is someone who has attained the great enlightenment and who is able to come and go while not departing from his true suchness, therefore, he is someone who is truly worthy of any kind of respect as well as offerings.
第3讲的是正遍知，这个正遍知，你所说的就是 就佛的智慧是无所不知，也可以说是完全的觉悟者。
As for the third name, correctly enlightened, it means the Buddha is all-knowing. He is aware of all surroundings and he has full knowledge of everything.
第四呢，说的是明行主。你这个明呢，相对于无明来说，它是明，所以也可以理解为是智慧。而行呢，行当然可以说是实践啊。那换一句话说，它是一个福德。如果一个实践呢是清净圆满者，它是有福德。因此，明行主我们理解是福德与智慧的圆满者。
The third name is correctly enlightened. The first character is Ming, which is, you can understand it as the opposite of Wu Ming, which is ignorance. So to have Ming, light or illuminate means this Buddha has wisdom, complete wisdom. And the second character is Xing, which is the same as practice or embodiment. So the Buddha is someone who is able to practice and embody this perfect wisdom, encompassing both merit and virtue. And thus the second name, correctly enlightened.
再来第五个讲的是善事。这个善呢，就是好的，这个善恶的善是属于善。那事呢，我们说去事就这个一个则一个走字旁，就善事呢，意思是到了至善，就是佛是一个能够到达至善者。
So the previous interpretation actually applies to perfect wisdom and action. So that's a slight correction. And the fifth one is well gone. And well gone means that Buddha is able to reach the perfection of all goodness and wholesomeness.
那再来呢，就是讲的是世间解。因为世间讲的就是我们的世间嘛，这个世界，解呢是理解。因为佛呢是对世界呢，对我们的世间呢，是一个理解这个世间者。
The sixth name is knower of the secular world. And secular is referring to the world that we're living in. It's worldly, it's mundane. And yet the Buddha has the capacity to know of our secular world.
那第七个名号呢是无上士调御丈夫。那个无上士呢，说就是无与伦比的老师。什么无与伦比的老师呢？就调御丈夫。那个调御就是调服或调训。这个丈夫所指的就是人啊。所以无上士调御丈夫的意思是，佛他是调御人的无与伦比的老师。
And the seventh name is the unsurpassed tamer. And unsurpassed means he is best and we cannot surpass him. As the second part, tamer, what is it referring to? It's referring to able to teach and to tame people like us, to help us understand. So Buddha is someone who is a supreme teacher who is unsurpassed.
第八呢是天人师，就是佛呢，他是不只是我们人间，而且也是天上，就是人天的导师。
The eighth is teacher of God and men. That means Buddha is not only teacher for us, the humans, but he's also capable of teaching the deities and the godly realms.
我们在经典里面有的会想说，怎么佛也是天上的老师？在经典里面有看到，佛曾经到天到他的母亲往生到天界，他曾经成佛之后 到天界去为他母亲说法，还有天界的众生也在经典有记录，曾经下来人间跟佛陀请法。
So it makes us wonder, what does it mean that the Buddha is capable of being the teacher of gods? So in the sutra, we have seen stories where the Buddha, his mother passed away when he was a baby. So the mother was reborn into the heavenly realm, one of the realms. And so the Buddha, after he became enlightened, he went up to these heavenly realms to give a teaching to his mother. Similarly, there are also other stories where it shows sentient beings from the heavenly realms actually fly down, come to our world to attend to Buddha's teachings.
第9个名号称为是佛，就是我们都很熟悉的佛，因为佛也是一个觉者的意思。
And the 9th is Buddha. And that's the term that most of us are quite familiar with. And the meaning of Buddha is the enlightened one.
那第10个德号也是称为世尊。其实世尊是我们所熟悉的，称为佛是世尊。因为世尊呢，它的另一个翻译就是幸福者的意思。
And the 10th one is the world-honored one. And that's also a term that we're quite familiar with, which means the same as the Buddha. And another meaning for that is actually same as today's topic, the blessed one.
我们今天就取这个，就佛是如来，佛也是应供，乃至到最后佛就是世尊，那佛是幸福者。
And that's why today's topic is Buddha is the blessed one, because the Buddha embodies all these characteristics and virtues. He's the thus come one. He is the one who's worthy of respect and offering, all the way encompassing all these 10 names up to the point where he is the blessed one.
所以佛是称为幸福者，然后我们就看说，佛他也是出生在人间的人。他是以人的人生透过修行而成佛的，那成佛之后成为幸福者，他跟我们现在所追求的幸有什么不一样？
So Buddha is the blessed one. And as we all know, the Buddha was born as a human being, and through the process of practice and learning, he eventually reached enlightenment and became this blessed one. So what does it mean in terms of the kind of blessed life that Buddha has? Is there any difference between the kind of blessed life that we have?
我们这世间看看每一个人努力奋斗，你最后都是在追求什么？都希望得到幸福，是不是？
So we look around to people around us, including ourselves. Every day, people work hard, strive forward. What is it that we are striving for? We're striving for a blessed life, happiness, isn't it?
那在我们的人生呢，想一想，因为我们好像也都有这个幸福的感觉。或是譬如说在事业上能够得到成就，还有在中国传统文化说到人生很快乐是金榜题名，这些是很幸福快乐，还有我们希望得到的像美满的家庭等等，一旦我们获得的时候会觉得快乐，感到幸福。
So think about it in our life. Oftentimes we do feel happy and blessed. Some examples are you're making advancements in your career, so your hard work is getting paid off. Or according to Chinese traditional saying that when you test well in an exam or becoming the champion of certain kind of tests, that's another reason why people feel blessed and happy. Or if you have a very happy and contented family, having good families also brings a sense of happiness and feeling blessed.
那这些的幸福，虽然我们获得的时候是很欢喜，就觉得很满足，可是呢，经过时间，一年一年过去啊，每一个新年到，一年一年过去的时候，会发现到，这一些呢，会随着时间呢，而成为过去，乃至呢，甚至于时时是在变化，会改变。
So yes, we do feel blessed and happy experiencing all these achievements or daily experiences. But then when you think a little bit closer, this kind of happiness is not constant. That year in and year out, with the passing of every year, sometimes we feel the passing of the time as well as the transient nature of this feeling of happiness. For the matter of fact, sometimes it changes momentarily. It's unpredictable.
释迦牟尼佛在未出家之前，其实他过的就是以我们人间来说，是一个荣华富贵、名权等就是都在万人之上。可是那个时候佛陀他是一个年轻，就是花样的年华，他年轻力壮，在那样的一个时期呢，因为他发现到他所拥有的这一些世间人所追求的最顶峰的这些他都拥有，可是呢，他并不快乐，他会觉得人生还有更高的、更进一层的，而不是他现在所拥有的，不是最究竟的快乐幸福。
So we know when Shakyamuni Buddha, when he was still a crown prince, based on our everyday definition, he seems to have got it all. And he was at the top of the pyramid. He has power, strength, wealth, a healthy body. Essentially, at that time, Buddha was in his prime, where he has the strength of youth, as well as everything you could desire in the world. So he got it all. Yet, even though in that kind of situation, Buddha back then already felt that there's some things unsatisfying about his circumstances. He felt that there must be something more to what he had that would be longer lasting and more ultimate.
在那个时候，他发现到他所拥有的那一些是不是就是会因时间而改变，这些都会改变。而最后呢，他虽然是年轻，但年轻的这个花样的年华，当他渐渐过去的时候，最后都会来到衰老。他认为衰老是每一个人都会经历的，它是不变的。
So even though he, with all his possessions, the things that he has, as well as the attributes that he embodied, he realized that everything will change according to time, by time. The youth he has, eventually, as everybody would experience it, it will perish. And one day people age and it will be gone. So everything, these are universal experiences that everybody experiences, these kind of characteristics or circumstances for sure will change with time.
那因此呢，他决定去寻找能够解决这一个老的问题，乃至于呢，老之后就消失了，就生命有它的周期，这个问题是不是可以解决？而这样的一个问题使他感到困扰。我觉得说，只要是这个问题不解决的话，他不能得到真正的快乐，真正的幸福。
So he went on a search, looking for a solution to solve the problem of aging, which eventually leading to perishing and then disintegration. So he kept asking that, is there a solution? Is there any way I could solve this problem? It's nagging him. This question is nagging him constantly. He knows that whatever he had was not permanent, and he was on a search for true happiness.
因此呢，他放弃了继承王位，而去寻求这个我们说困扰着他的这个问题的答案。
So because of this nagging feeling that he had, then he gave up his place, his place on the throne, and went on a search for an answer to resolve this issue of aging and perishing.
他先后拜访了好几位的老师，而这些的老师呢，都是在当时呢，也是一个顶尖的老师。可是这些老师，他跟他学习之后，就发现到已经学习到老师所能够教导的最高的一个层次了。可是呢，都还是不能够满足他心中的疑问，要解决的、要找的答案。
So on this search, the Buddha studied under many teachers, and these teachers were all cream of the top of the time. They were great teachers of the contemporary of the Buddha. So he studied under them, and to the point that where he has absorbed everything the teacher could teach, yet these teachers could not offer him an answer to his question.
那最后想说，既然没有老师可以让他得到满意的答案，他独自呢就到苦行林去，想说还有一个方法他还没有用，那就是苦行。
And so because of this process of searching, and no teacher was able to satisfy to give him an answer, so Buddha decided to engage in a practice of into hardship of harder practice.
他在苦行林是苦行了，苦修了6年。可是呢，苦修6年之后，他发现到他的身体已经瘦到皮包骨，如果再这样下去呢，他可能会丧失生命，而所要寻找答案还是没有找到。那因此呢，他发现这个苦行是不能够让他找到他所满意的答案，最后他放弃了苦行。
So the Buddha went through 6 years of extreme hardship, trying to tame his body and spirit. And after all these 6 years of really extreme hardship and practice, diligent practice, he was not able to get the answer he wanted. He felt his body was already perishing, is wasted away, that he was so thin and so frail that he doesn't have any more energy to engage in further practice. So he realized that this is not the right way to practice.
他放弃了苦行，就来到我们现在如果去印度朝圣啊，就是说菩提树下，去到那个地方叫菩提迦叶。他到那个地方呢，他当时放弃苦行的时候，原来有5位的他的父亲啊，就是父王所派了5位的侍者来照顾他。但是这5位侍者看到他放弃苦行之后，觉得说这个太子已经吃不了苦了，过去都享受荣华富贵，那现在修了6年之后也受不了苦了，所以放弃了。因此他们看到太子放弃苦行，他们也放弃了太子，离他而去。去哪里？去鹿野苑。
So Buddha, realizing that this kind of harsh ascetic practice is not going to lead to answer, he decided to look for other ways. And as if you go to India and you go to this place where Buddha became enlightened, Bodhigaya, you will see records of it. And at that time, Buddha's father has sent 5 attendants to take care of the Buddha, the crown prince back then. And these 5 attendants were diligently following him in ascetic practice. But seeing that Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha, turned away from ascetic practice, they were disappointing in him and say, we are not going to be your attendant anymore, and we're going to go on our own to continue our ascetic practice. And so now they turn to this place called Deer Park.
那这个时候呢，其实当时是悉达多太子，这个太子呢，就看到这5位随从离他而去，而他的身体还是非常的虚弱。他那个时候开始接受食物的供养，在酷刑的时候是不接受食物供养，是吃一麻一麦，开始接受食物供养，但是身体还是非常的虚弱。在那个时候，他下了一个很大的决心，就是如果他不能悟道，他坐在菩提树下，假如再不悟道，他宁可就是这个身体的骨头四散，这个血液都让它干掉，他也不起坐。
So at that time, it wasn't the Buddha yet, it was the Crown Prince Siddhartha. And the attendants had left him. And seeing that the 5 attendants has left, the Buddha's physical body at that time, after prolonged period of ascetic practice, was very, very frail. So at that time, he decided that he will start accepting offerings of food to nourish his body back to health. Before then, during the ascetic practice, he was barely eating 1 grain of rice or wheat or 1 grain of sesame at a time. And so after accepting the offering, the food offering, then he sat down again and made the vow, the great vow that I'm going to now sit down in search of the answer. And he vowed that if I do not find the answer, even if my bones are scattered and my blood has dried, I will not get up from the seat. And that was the great vow that he made under the Bodhi tree.
他下了这么大决心啊，就是置生死于度外，他全力呢是禅修嘛，用禅修方法去观。那最后呢，是大彻大悟，而发现了我们说了究竟的幸福之道，或是说能解脱烦恼之道。
So he made this great vows of setting aside the matter of his life or death, and then enter a very deep samadhi to continue to his pursuit to find the answer. Eventually, the Buddha reached great enlightenment, and he found the answer that will lead to the ultimate happiness and ultimate blessed life.
就如同在黑暗的隧道之中，就发现了曙光，而往这个曙光走的时候，走出了隧道。
It was as if at that time he was in the dark, and then he saw the first beam of light coming through. Following this beam of light, he knew that if he follows it and continue practice, he will eventually get through all the darkness or the tunnel and eventually find the answer and lead to the kind of ultimate happiness that he has been searching for all along.
那在经典里面有这么说到，从早期的在阿含经里，以及到了大乘的法华经，都有提到说，这个就如同太阳要出来之前，一定是先有黎明。如果我们看到了黎明，就知道太阳快要出来了。
So this kind of analogy has been used previously as well in sutras, the Agama Sutras, as well as the Lotus Sutra. They have all mentioned this understanding of the way of Buddha Dharma is like the first beam of light at dawn, once you see that first beam of light, you would know that daylight, the all brightness is not very far away.
同样的，当什么出现的时候，我们说黎明出现的时候，就知道太阳要升起。而这个幸福啊，就是我们究竟的幸福要出现之前，会先见到什么？正见会先出现。
So along the similar vein, we know that we see the light in dawn that will lead to sunrise. If we have an understanding of the right view, that will also automatically lead us to a way, a path that can lead to true happiness and blessings.
换一句话说，如果我们要去达到究竟的幸福，或找到究竟的幸福之道，那首先需要什么？需要正见。如果正见升起的时候，我们就走向了幸福之道，就好像在隧道之中已经见到曙光。
So the flip side of the token is that in order to reach true happiness, we must first have the right view. So to have the right view, we know that we will for sure eventually get to the light and be out of the tunnel.
那什么是正见呢？
So what is the right view if it's so important?
这个正见呢，是来自于释迦牟尼佛，他在菩提树下的觉悟，他最后大彻大悟，就是发现了这个正见。这个正见呢，也就是我们的生命以及所有的万物都是依缘生起，也就是缘起。所以缘起呢，是佛法的根本正见。
So what is the right view? The right view is what Buddha came to realize when he attained great enlightenment. It is the foundation of all Buddha Dharma. It says that all life and all phenomenon arises interdependently according to conditions. So it's a concept of dependent arising. Nothing arises by itself. So this is the foundation of all Buddha Dharma.
那从缘起，我们就可以理解到，我们的生命以及所有的万物都是依缘生起。那这个缘就非常重要，缘对我们的生命以及我们所感的世界，它就有直接的影响。
Because everything is dependent arising according to conditions, this conditions becomes very important in steering the direction of our life.
而这个缘，我们要怎么来理解在生活之中的缘？
Well, how do we then practice or witness or observe this condition in our everyday life?
在我们生活之中，我们所接触到的都是缘。
Everything we encounter in our daily life is conditions.
譬如现在，我见到我们诸位，我们诸位同聚一堂，我们一直在这里闻法，这是不是有缘？是缘，它是一种缘。所以缘呢，是我们所对的所有的境都是缘。
So let's take us right now. We're all sitting together in the same room. And this is because of the conditions coming together. It's the affinity that we have. So all phenomenon in the world is based on these co-arising conditions.
那当我们面对缘的时候，就会结缘。我遇到你，跟你结一个缘；遇到他，跟他结缘。那这个缘就会分了。如果这个缘呢，我结的是善的缘，那这个善对我会有直接的影响。如果结的缘是不善的缘，这个不善也是我的，是我所结的不善的。
So with every encounter, we are setting up conditions. if we have a wholesome or facilitatory kind of encounter, friendly encounter, then you were creating a wholesome or beneficial condition and affinity.
所以我们在佛法里常常听到要广结善缘，是不是？
And that is why in Buddha Dharma, we often, you will hear this term that we need to widely try to create favorable conditions, wholesome conditions.
那事实上，这个善缘一结下去，谁得的获利最大？就是自己的。所结的那个缘就是你的。我结的善，那个善会回到我这里；结的不善，不善会回到我们自己。因此呢，就要首先呢，修学第一个就是广结善缘。
So once this affinity or this condition is co-created, who's the one that gets the result of it? Who's at the receiving end? It comes back to ourselves. If you have created a good affinity, a good condition, then you're the one who will benefit. On the other hand, if you have created unfavorable condition, you're also the one who's going to suffer. So regardless of the method of practice, the first thing that we have to start practicing when we're learning Buddha Dharma is to create wholesome conditions for practice.
那我们怎么能了解说这是结的是善缘还是不善的缘？
Well, since it's so important, then how do we know whether the kind of conditions and affinities we're creating, is it a wholesome one or is it unwholesome? How do we differentiate?
就在佛法里面，尤其在早期佛法，或是我们大圣经典都重复提到这个分辨善与不善这样的分辨的标准是十善业。
So as we have learned in Buddha Dharma, as well as in the sutras, a standard, a rubric that we can use for ourselves to determine if something is wholesome or unwholesome is to follow the principle of 10 good deeds.
这个十善，我诸位都知道吗？
Are you familiar with these 10 good deeds?
我们稍微复习一下。 就十善，第一个就是离，远离啊，离杀业。这个杀所指的是我亲自看到，还有我亲手，或是为我而做的，主要是指这个。
So let's review briefly. These 10 good deeds is guiding us to depart from 10 contexts or conditions. The first one is to depart from killing, refrain from killing. And this refrain from killing is referring most and foremost, you're not killing a living being yourself with your own hands. You're not witnessing it with your own eyes, or that being is not being killed on your behalf.
第二个是离偷盗。
The second one is to refrain from stealing.
其实所谓的偷是没有经过允许的他人的物品或他人所拥有的，我去获取、去执取，这个是属于盗。
And the definition of stealing is whenever you are using or obtaining an object without the permission of the owner. That's called stealing.
第三个是邪淫。
The third one is refrain from sexual misconduct.
所以邪淫所指的是正常的关系之外还有第三者，这是属于邪。
So the so-called sexual misconduct is referring to outside of a agreed upon conventional relationship, to refrain from having a third party being involved.
以上这三者所属的是身业，就是我们的身体所会结的不善的缘，是属于这三类。
So these three are related to our physical body, the kind of unfavorable condition that our physical body may commit. We are refraining from these conducts.
再来说的是我们那个语业，就是口会结不善的缘，有哪些呢？第一个是妄，妄语就是不是这样说那样，不是事实，事实不是那样，我们说是那样，这是属于妄。
The next four is referring to speech, the kind of speech that we should refrain from. The first of the speech precept is refrain from false speech, which is whatever is not true, if it's not a fact, then don't say it.
再来是不两舌，就是离这个两舌。因为两舌就是把这一人说话去传到对方另外一位，那使得两者呢是不合，这是属于两舌。如果有这样的业，不照这样的业就是结善业，照这样的业是结了不善的业。
The next one is to refrain from devious speech. The so-called devious speech is when you are passing on gossips or information from one person to another that leads to a falling out between these two people or disharmony between these two people. Those are called devious speech. When you do that kind of, when you create devious speech, then that is not a favorable or wholesome kind of behavior that leads to happiness.
再来是恶口，因为恶口所说的是，因为我们的语言呢是他人受伤。
The next one is refrain from vicious or slandering kind of speech, which because of what you said, you are hurting other people. So refrain from doing them.
再来是绮语，这个绮语所说的就是说一些我们说是没有意义的，或是比较属于俚语俗语这一些也尽量减少。
The last one related to speech is flatteries, or the kind of speech that is meaningless, pointless, or kind of slangs in a way that is not really wholesome. So if it's not very meaningful, then don't use it.
以上的这四者是口，就是我们的语业呢，它也会有不善的，不是善的。那我们知道之后呢，就往善的，不善的尽量远离。
So those four are related to speech. And with our speech, you can be creating favorable, wholesome, or unwholesome conditions. Now that you're aware of which ones will lead to unwholesome behaviors, which is unwholesome conditions, then we should refrain from them.
那最后是意业有三种。
The last three is related to the mind.
第一个就是离贪欲。
The first is to depart and refrain from greed.
其实所谓的贪呢，就是见到别人的东西，想说如果那个是我的该多好，这就是一种跟贪相应的欲。
So an example of greed is that if you see someone having something and you give rise to this thought that, oh, won't that be nice if I have one too? That is greed.
那如果说透过我们的努力我们去拥有，这没有问题。可是呢，一当下的念就想到，如果那个是我的该多好，那这也会跟贪是相应。
Well, if you have earned that object or thing through your own effort, that's no problem. That's fine. Greed is referring to when you see someone having something, you say, I wish that is mine. That is greed, and you should stay away from that.
第二个是嗔恚，这个嗔恚是有我们的升起了这个嗔的心，而希望别人受苦。而这样如果有这样的一个心，这是属于嗔恚的心。
The second one is anger or aggression. So whenever you have this thought of anger, aggression, and hope that which leads to this intention of other people suffering, that is not wholesome, and we should refrain from that as well.
那最后一个讲的是要离不正见，这是最重要。
The last one is we need to refrain from erroneous views, incorrect views, and this is the most important.
因为不正见而导致我们的身语，前面说的身三口四，很容易因为不正见而有不正的身语意行。
And that is because oftentimes we have incorrect or unwholesome actions and speech. That is due to the fact that we don't have the right view. So having erroneous views would lead to unwholesome actions and speech.
我们现在在说十善嘛，说到十善呢，就是要帮助我们可以知道什么是善，什么是不善。那这个是什么？这个就是正见嘛，远离不正见。
As we are going over these 10 virtuous or 10 good deeds, these exactly are the guidelines that will help us differentiate what is correct, what is incorrect, what is wholesome or not. So having an understanding of these 10 deeds, 10 wholesome deeds itself is a correct view. You use it as a yardstick to help yourself.
换一句话说，这个正见我们也说是正知了，能够让我们分辨什么是善，什么是不善。那是善的，我们就是应当去做；而不善的，就不要去做。
So this right view will help us differentiate between what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. Whatever that you have decided is wholesome, then we should pursue it, engage it. And whatever you think is unwholesome based on these 10 guidelines, then we should refrain from doing them.
那当我们的身与意呢，都与善相应的时候，那这些的善，它的后面的果，我们说的果，身与意呢的一个行为，它是会留下，我们说会留下这个身与意的业的这个力量，不是说它也会留下这个种子，而这样的一个善的业的力所留下来的这个力量，或是这个种子，当它因缘成熟的时候，它会呈现到我们自己身上的，它是什么？它会是快乐的果报。
So we need to strive and exert effort in practicing so that our actions, speech, and thoughts all correspond with these 10 wholesome deeds. Eventually, by practicing like this, it will lead to karmic consequences, or maybe we should say a momentum. This momentum will guide you and lead you, and there will be a seed that is created. When eventually all conditions are right and this seed is ripened, then the end result would be wholesome, and you will be the one that will benefit from this wholesome result that was created based on the 10 wholesome deeds.
如果我们的身与意是与不善相应，那必然也跟不正见是相应。而这样的业呢，然后留下的这个业的种子，一旦因缘成熟，它会回到自己身上。而这样的一个所回来的这个，我们说这个果，它会不快乐，不是快乐的。
Similarly, if our body, actions, speech, and thoughts does not correspond with these wholesome deeds, it will also lead to results that comes to fruition, and that will not lead to happiness.
所以这也是释迦牟尼佛在菩提树下所悟到的缘起。那依缘起的正见呢，而告诉我们，在生活之中 我们如何呢能够修善啊？就修善而远离不善。那为什么要修善远离不善？因为修善的业会导致我们走向幸福之道，若不善的业会远离幸福之道。
So this is precisely what the Buddha came to realize under the Bodhi tree. This concept of this principle of dependent arising, dependent origination, that everything's come together according to a set of conditions. And so based on this right understanding of dependent co-arising, then we apply it into our everyday life. We learn that we become aware that we need to practice wholesome deeds in our everyday life and refrain from the unwholesome deeds. With wholesome deeds, practice of wholesome deeds, then it will lead to the kind of happiness that we're seeking. Likewise, if you practice the unwholesome deeds, then it will also lead to you living a life that is further and further from happiness.
因此呢，以这个善为基础，以这个善为基础，我们说修学佛法，好像佛法好深哦，那禅修好难哦。那事实上呢，我们如果把这个善的基础呢，很扎实的去实践，我们对听闻佛法，或是说其他的修行、念佛啦、禅修等，都会更容易得力，更上一层。
So we need to use these 10 good deeds, wholesome deeds, as our foundation for practice. We talk about studying or practicing Buddha Dharma, and sometimes we hear people say Buddha Dharma is so hard, it's too profound. Or we talk about a sitting meditation, meditative practice, and people say it's too abstract, I can't do it. But if you follow these 10 good deeds and use that as a foundation, this will lead to a deeper understanding of these other kinds of practices. It has a facilitatory kind of effect, will facilitate your practice and make it easier and more graspable.
那在这个新年的第一天哦，我们诸位一起呢，在佛前发这个愿。我希望呢，学佛的什么？学佛所说的正见，依这个正见去做。那也希望呢，能够未来跟佛一样，得到是一个幸福者，究竟的幸福者。我们在这个过程之中呢，就在迈向幸福之道，就会感受到是幸福的。
So today is the first day of the new year. And I encourage all of us in front of the Buddha to make this vows, to make the vow to follow the correct view, the right view of Buddha Dharma that Buddha had attained under the Bodhi tree, to follow this right view, to learn Buddha Dharma and to practice Buddha Dharma. And also, eventually, we shall all become like the Buddha, who is someone that is truly blessed. And in this process of practice, we are indeed already making our ways step by step, becoming more and more happy and blessed like the Buddha.
我们今天就分享到这里。
That will be the end of our talk today.